Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's talk about your home recording studio. Today it's episode, whatever, 4, 5, something like that, of Let's Mix Season 2. If I remember correctly, last time we made it through the process of getting some space for each of the guitars, the lead guitars. I know there's still some work to do in there. I just took a kind of a test listen to what I ended up with after last time. Yeah, still some room for improvement in some of those solo guitar parts and everything. But this time we're gonna move on to the vocals. So we have kind of several vocal tracks here. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different vocal tracks here to address. So hey, we better get started. Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room here, and that is the couple of opening lines to this song. And oh man, I understand. I'm terrible at singing opening lines to songs. It takes me a couple of stanzas, you know, to get going. And so I totally understand. You know, this one kind of falls prey to the same kind of thing that I find myself doing in my own mixes. And it's pitchy. And since the vocal is such a focal point for the song, it's what everybody is going to hear, no matter what they're listening for. They're gonna pay attention to the vocals because the vocals are kind of almost the face of the song, right? And so this lead vocal starts out with just a couple of notes that bug me enough that I'm actually going to make what's probably a controversial decision to some of you, and I'm going to tune them. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to auto-tune some vocals. So my goal here is not to sanitize the performance and to make everything perfect. My goal is not to make JD sound like Justin Bieber. My goal is to kind of improve the listener experience overall. And I think that having these two particular kind of sustained notes that go flat, I think they detract from it. I really do. The ideal solution would be to retrack it, would be to just, you know, keep hammering away at it and keep re-recording it and until you get it right. But in my situation here, you know, I'm not the singer here, so I don't really have the freedom to just go and re-record the vocal. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pay attention to a couple of particular notes that bother me in that opening verse. And really everything else, like I just think it adds personality. Yeah, things go a little flat here, a little sharp here, whatever. That's part of the personality of vocals. That's your voice in your song. And this is JD's voice in his song. It's not my place to go and make him sound like Katy Perry or something and just auto-tune everything. I just want to kind of sand off these couple of rough edges here that really do bother me. So whether they bother you or whatever, I don't know. So here, let's get to it here real quick. Okay, I've got the lead vocal turned down a little bit right now, but I'm just gonna play it and get a level set here, and you can hear what I'm talking about here in these first couple of lines of the song.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh.
That one.
It didn't mean anything to me.
And that one. Right, like those two sustained notes in that just opening stanza there, or opening couple of lines of the song. Yeah, I think they need attention, and I think it'll be worth going ahead and taking care of these. I'm going to do the pitch correction before doing anything else. I'm going to do it before compressing, reverb, or whatever else I decide to do to the vocal here. So I want to feed the most raw, pure sound into my pitch correction software as I can. So I'm going to do that first. All right, so what I am going to use here is Melodyne. That's kind of my my pitch correction of choice, and I like the way it works. So I'm just going to open it up here. And the way Melodyne works, you play the song in the background, and when it comes to the part you want to correct, you click on the transfer button, and then it transfers until you click on the transfer button again, and then it stops transferring. I think it does that to kind of save resources, but honestly, I've transferred entire vocal tracks, multiple entire vocal tracks in one project, and I don't have a problem with it. My computer doesn't have a problem with it. I think that maybe if you're working on a slower, older computer, yeah, maybe you just want to transfer little fragments here and there. And since I know that it's really only this one little area that I'm really concerned about, so I'll just transfer that one area. So let's do that real quick. So I'm gonna click, well, actually I'm gonna give myself a little more breathing room, and I'm gonna click play, and then I'll hit transfer when that first verse comes in.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. It didn't mean anything to me. What was spoke, survival crass, worthless for any need. A parody.
Okay, yeah, I think that's enough. And now that it has transferred, let's go back and see what it picked up. Whoops. Let's actually scroll. There we go. Okay, so you can see it forms these kind of blobs here. And the position of the blob vertically is the pitch, and the position of the blob horizontally is the timing. I don't really think there's anything wrong with the timing. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just concerned with the pitch. Okay, and I believe that as long as we have Melodyne up here, if I click play in Melodyne, which is I believe a double click, yeah.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. Thought it was a.
Yeah.
Thought it was.
So once I double click, it actually starts playing, and it's just going to solo it. So, and we can kind of see here, and oh boy, it's been a while since I used Melodyne, so pardon me if I'm a little slow on the uptake here. I think this is how we zoom in. There we go. All right, so we really get a nice close-up view of what we're working with. And I think it's this right here where it really dips flat right here that I'm interested in. So let's, as I'm going through this and using Melodyne here, these blobs are individual phonemes of the speech, of the singing. And so as I click on each one, it's just going to play that one little bit, so that you're going to hear some funny sounds here for a couple minutes until I get kind of dialed in on what I'm doing, so fair warning, all right? Okay, so it is...
Was a joke, but we didn't laugh.
Right there, yeah, it's this right here that's kind of killing me. So if I click on this blob, and I think that if I click on this button here, yeah, there we go. And it's not even really the pitch center, it's the pitch drift. So let's see what happens if we start pulling up the drift. And it, oh yeah, oh it does actually bring that up. Okay, okay. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. Didn't laugh.
Okay, okay. And I might even just, well, actually, let's hear it in context. Let's hear it in context before I make any more decisions here. So scoot that out of the way, and let's hear it from here.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh.
Yeah, it still sounds a little flat. You know, again, I don't want to sanitize this too much. I don't want to make it too conspicuous or anything. So let me see if I just pull it up a little bit farther. So now we kind of took that drift out of it. So now let's just raise the pitch center. And let's just bring him up a little bit. Yeah, somewhere in there. I probably don't want to go 100% on this because it is going to start sounding conspicuous. That's what I like about Melodyne is I think it sounds very natural when it's doing its thing, unless you push it too far. You know, if you're singing the root of a chord and you want to bring it up to the third of a chord, yeah, that's going to sound conspicuously pitch shifted. But I think these little kind of micro adjustments that we're making, it should be fine. All right, so let's scoot him out of the way, and let's hear it again.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh.
All right, yeah, and so I left it just a little bit flat, which I think still has some of that personality to it. It was just too flat and kind of drifted too far from that pitch center. I think that's fine. I think that's good. All right, let's go find the other one that was bugging me. And I think it would, oh yeah, let's just listen for it.
It didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, right there. So I think the note center is pretty good there. Let's just take some of that drift out of it. And let's see if it improves. Yeah, 100%. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's see what 100% sounds like.
It didn't mean anything to me.
Okay. Honestly, I think that's okay. given the context of the song. So let's actually hear it in context.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. It didn't mean anything to me.
Just a little flat still. So let's bring it up a little bit. Let me go find it again. It was this sustained note right here. So let's just bring... Oh, that's actually gonna snap it to another note. So, all right, let's just do the slider here again. We'll just bring it up a little bit into... And it's okay that it still has some of that oscillation, because that's human. That's okay. We're not necessarily going for a computer sound. If we wanted a computer to sing, we would have programmed a computer to sing.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. It didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, okay, okay. All right, let me listen to that next little line just to make sure there's nothing in there that's just killing me.
What was spoke, survival crass, worthless for any need.
And yeah, not perfect, but we're not going for perfection here. Again, this is a human singing a song. that's okay. Humans make mistakes, and if you have ever listened to anything with my own vocals in it, you know I have no room to talk here. So believe me, when I first started using, when I first got Melodyne, I use it on everything, and my music suffered for it, and also my just confidence and vocals suffered for it. So I rarely use it anymore. And especially in a home recording studio, because if I miss a note, I just go back and do it again. You know, I'm not paying for time here. I'll just go back and do it again. Keep doing it until I get it right. But I do know my own limitations, and I am a pitchy singer. So sometimes, you know, you got to pick those notes and pick those fights. You like the performance, but there's a couple of sour notes. In my book, nothing wrong with touching it up. I know there are people out there, Glenn Frigger, that are vehemently opposed to auto-tuning vocals, but hey, I don't think that we detracted anything from this song. In my mind, I think we improved the overall listener experience, because there's not going to be those noticeably flat notes just right at the beginning of the song. You know, once the listener warms up to your voice a little bit later in the song, if you miss one here and there, you know, it's fine. But right at the opening of the song, that's kind of your statement. That's the listener probably hearing your voice for the first time. And if they hear that just flat kind of sour note, yeah, I think that kind of detracts from the song overall. So, all right, enough yammering about Melodyne. And all right, so the other kind of big elephant in the room here is even just eyeballing this part of this first verse and this part over here. You can tell these are just wildly different volumes. I think that I had put some automation on here. Let's see, show automation. Where is... All right, show all, yeah, and you can see here I tried to kind of bridge the gap here, but I don't think that's enough. So I think I'm gonna ditch the automation. And let's see, can I do like a delete automation? No, no, okay. So let's just right click and let's make this big. Nope, that did the opposite. Let's make this big, and let's select this point and that point, and we'll delete those altogether. So now if we listen to this part,
What was spoke, survival crass.
and then we listen to this part, right, so they're just wildly different volumes. So I'm not exactly sure what happened here in the tracking process, but I think probably our best bet here, again, let's hide our automation. And let's just split the track here. I'm just going to tap S, make sure this track is selected first, tap S, and that splits it. And I think I'm going to go and kind of like I did early on and normalize it just to get it kind of in the same ballpark. Since I normalized the track as a whole, This part was not nearly as loud, so it was hardly affected by the normalization process. So let's just try a quick item processing normalize. Okay, all right, that just visually that looks closer. Let's see how it sounds. Let's hear the first one.
Thought it was a joke, but we did laugh.
Okay.
Unbroken spoken fallacy, separate from reality, arrested by this audacity.
It sounds like either it was a different mic position, like a different distance from the mic, or almost a different microphone altogether. Like this one isn't quite as kind of forward sounding. This is going to be a little challenging. Fortunately, enough happens in between these two verses that I'm not going to try to just get them matched exactly and perfect. But as I go through this process of treating the vocals, I'll have to keep that in mind, that this one might just need a little something to make it sound a little closer to that first verse. All right, I think the very first thing I'm going to do is send this through a compressor and try to knock off some of these here. If you can just kind of, even just looking at it, you can see this is pretty dynamic, right? So there's some pretty big peaks here. So let's see if we can add a fast compressor at a relatively low threshold and maybe just, a relatively low ratio, and just knock a few dB off just the peaks and see if we can kind of get this a little bit more, agreeable as far as the mix goes. So the first thing I want to do here is, let's add an instance of RIA insert. Where'd you go? You're in VSTi. Nope, you're in VST. And let's do the same routing. We'll go out 3. We'll come back on 5. And let's just, let's just loop that first verse. Turn on loop. And let's just kind of start dialing in a compressor.
Thought it was a joke, but we did laugh.
Okay, so what I ended up dialing in here, I gave it a pretty good goose of input gain because it's a little bit low. I ended up on a 2-to-1 ratio. I put the distortion 3 on just to give it just a little tiny bit of saturation. I gave it a fast attack, so attack of 2, and then a fast release as well of 2. And then I had to crank that output gain quite a bit. But just judging by the gain reduction, I think that it is pretty much just acting on those peaks. And when he does those sustained notes, he's not, it doesn't seem to be doing much, which is kind of what I want right here. I want to just kind of smooth it out a little bit at first. And I think that'll do a lot of favors for the overall vocal. Now, since this is a lead vocal, I think it's going to want to be just even a little bit more compressed overall. And now that we've kind of knocked those peaks and everything off of it, honestly, let's feed it to another compressor here and see what happens. So instead of I come out of Distressor 1, and instead of going back, let's go into Compressor 2, and then we'll send that back. Okay, let's see, where are we set here? You know, I think I might even keep it on opto, which is 10-to-1, which is really aggressive. Let's take the high pass off of it. I don't really think I want another layer of distortion on it, so I'll take that off as well. Let's just set them to something neutral for right now. And let's hit play and just start playing around.
Thought it was a joke, but we didn't laugh. It didn't mean anything to me.
Okay, yeah, I think that smooths it out really nicely. Let's hear what the second verse sounds like, since that is a little bit different here.
Unbroken spoken fallacy, separate from reality, arrested by this audacity, swallowed whole by the vanity.
Yeah, actually, I think that smooths it out really nicely, honestly, compared to what it sounded like before. Actually, here, let's just do a little A-B here real quick.
Unbroken spoken fallacy,
And then with.
separate from reality.
Yeah, I think that made a really good positive difference. Okay, I tell you what, I am going to go ahead and render this this out so I can have my compressors back for future vocal tracks here. So let's just do a quick render freeze. This is going to do it in real time, so I won't make you listen to it again, but I'll click the button here and I'll be back in a minute. Well, in about 4 minutes. Hey everybody, yeah, this episode again ran long, big surprise, so I'm going to go ahead and chop this one in half as well, and we'll pick it up next week with the rest of the vocals, alright? I'll see you then.